Let's talk about professional jealousy. This is something that is can be hard to deal with in this industry, especially because this industry is not necessarily based on merit, and uh, it is a relationship business, as we've talked about before with networking. So a lot of it depends on who you know and who you have access to and how you have access and how you get there and what are the resources that you have. And all of those things are not equally bestowed on everybody for various very large reasons and for no reason at all either. It's just the luck of the draw. And professional jealousy can be hard because we're all working towards the same goal. We all want to make a movie, or we all want to find funding for that movie. We all want to attach a name actor to that movie. We all want to get into a great festival. We all want to sell the movie and make money. We all want to be able to then make the next movie. And we want to be able to support ourselves and our families as we do all of this. And the reality is that there is always going to be someone and many someones who has more time, more resources, more money, more experience, more connections, more privilege, more education, more all of these things, and even more talent. I mean, there are some people who are definitely going to be more talented than you and have more skill. Doesn't mean that you can't or shouldn't pursue your goals, but we're all kind of somewhere on the bell curve of this. And I myself have experienced a lot of professional jealousy, and what I have found is that knowing that it's a competitive field, I actually find that sometimes I have a harder time with people that I know getting the things that I'm also trying to get versus some random list of strangers from around the world. Because when you know the people who are getting the grant or getting the festival or getting the money or getting the thing, those are your peers and you see them and you know them as people and you're like, okay, well, what is the difference between us? And it can drive us crazy going down that rabbit hole of what does this person have versus me? Why can't I do it? Why not me? And it is really one of the more detrimental kind of mental aspects of being a filmmaker. And the flip side of it is that if you try and be happy for everyone and say, pretend like you don't feel jealous, that's also disingenuous, that that's not necessarily real. And but you also don't want to be a jerk and you don't want to rag on somebody, especially somebody that you know and respect and like. You don't want to be like, oh well, they don't deserve it. I mean, they put in the time, they put in the application, they got the thing, and those are all of these things are just out of our hands, out of our control, out of our abilities to move the lever or to influence. And there are many things that we can do to try and game the system or try to have more influence or more network or more this or that or the other. And that is part of what you do over the course of your career. And still, things don't always happen. And when you look at the spectrum and you listen to podcasts and interviews with people who are huge names saying that it was hard for them to get a movie off the ground, and you think, oh, well, how can it be hard? You're A-list celebrity star. Like, how could this movie be hard for you to get off the ground? But the metrics and the parameters and the pressure and the stakes are just different when you're at that level. So it is hard. It's hard from top to bottom. It's just hard. So trying to come to peace with that and to celebrate the wins within your community, and even if they're not your wins, those are wins for everyone, and as part of that community, hopefully that will trickle down to you as well. The other thing that I think is important is to be able to take a step back when you start feeling that way and think about what are the things that you can do right now to move your project forward and to feel a sense of agency and control over the things that you can control. So, can you go out to that new networking event? Can you do a new draft of your script? Can you work on the edit of your project? Can you, what is the next step and the next thing that you can do to make you feel like you have some control in the things that you are doing? But I also want you to be careful because there are many things out there that give promises that, oh, well, for just $199, you can pitch to this high level executive and you can submit your script for consideration and blah, blah, blah. I mean, we talked about addict personalities and the gamble of filmmaking last week, and all of these places are, you know, it is a money grab to a certain extent. Many of them can and do and have helped many filmmakers. But I say this to all my students, a lot of it, because of the level of competition, is like buying a lottery ticket. And buying a lottery ticket is not a business plan. And there are ways to go about making your projects where it's not just a Hail Mary every single time you're trying to put a project together. There are ways to plan it. There are ways to kind of put it together. And yes, there still is a certain amount of luck involved, and things that are going to be outside of your control, that either manifest quickly or take time. But, you know, I don't necessarily want you going into debt over this promised thing that's going to definitely get you something, because most of the time it doesn't really work out that way. And even, people who have access to some of the top film schools. I mean, again, it's if it's hard for A-list celebrities, it's going to be hard all the way down. So what are the ways that you can make it easy? You can pick up your phone, and I know many people are against the iPhone movies, but I am not one of them because it's the easiest way to start figuring out your eye, your tone, your taste, what do you find interesting visually? Just go out and take pictures, take videos, hang out with your friends and videotape them, get close, get far away, kind of take a look at, like, how do you capture movement? What are you interested in terms of stories? Put that footage together and see what you get. The exploration process is one of the most exciting parts of being a filmmaker. And it's one of the parts that we kind of lose when we start getting all this education and getting into these programs where it's like, well, you have to have this, this, and this is the right way to do it, and all this stuff. We kind of lose the innocence of just creation, and sometimes that is the spark that makes us interesting and different. And so there's an unlearning process as well, where you kind of go, you know what? I understand there are all these rules, but what can I do to just start making something, or to hear this script out loud, or to think about who this character is, or, start raising some money. There are, just think outside the box. And that I have found is one of the best ways to combat that professional jealousy when I'm I, like many, am trying to go for that grant and that festival and that money and that next production and that next thing, and I see people I know and respect and like and getting it, and I'm happy for them. But I'm also like, you know, when is my turn? And on the flip side, there are many things that I have received and gotten and done and all this stuff that other people have been like, why not me? So it's just a really annoying, silly part of the kind of mental roller coaster in this industry. And I think, when you start feeling that way, just go back to the basics, write something out, film something, just take a breath and keep going forward, because there are many people who are shooting stars and they burn out and then their career's over. And if you play the long game, you can build and hopefully eventually build something that you feel really good about. And that's something to be, it's just something to think about as you carry on. And it's hard when you're starting out and you're young and there's all this competition. And then when it feels one way. And then when you're older and now you're competing with all the young people too, and you're still competing with everybody who stuck it out. And I've seen people who have come onto the festival scene with a project in their later years after having success in their early years, but they never quite kind of like got into that next level, whatever that is, that Netflix deal or that Amazon deal, or, they never got that thing that they've been chasing. And they've been on the festival circuit with another project, and they're like, I keep sitting in these mentorship panels, having these people tell me everything that I heard 20 years ago when I was in the same position as a filmmaker. And, is this all there is? And I think these are just deeply personal questions of how you measure success, how you live your life outside of film, how you balance those. And again, at the end of the day, the most important thing is just getting your artwork out there. How can you feel some control over that? So good luck.